Yo, what is up, everybody? You know what time it is. No matter where you are in the world, whether you're at night, you're in the evening, it is that time to kick back, sit back, relax, crack yourself a cold one, pour yourself a stiff one, hell, roll yourself a green one if that's the way it goes, because it's shooting the shit uncensored, baby. And it is me, your host, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the beautiful one himself, Piers Austin. Woo! And I am excited. I am pumped. I have a very, very special guest, which you guys are all going to love. It is Rocky Menero, the MCW Intercommonwealth champion, baby. But before I bring him out, I want to take a quick second, a quick pause to thank those people that help us keep the lights on up in this bitch, because you know these colorful lights are expensive to run. So let's take a quick second to shout out some of our amazing sponsors. First up is sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS.com. Now, guys, let me tell you something about Sleefs. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to go and check out sleeves.com. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, compression socks, headbands, wristbands, mouth guards, boots. Guys, they've even got some dirty ass boxes. That's right. They've got their dirty boxer range that you need to check out. They have sent me a whole bunch of these dirty boxes, and they are the most comfortable boxes that I own. I'm an active guy. I'm at work. I'm moving around all day. They stay fresh. They stay dry. They are amazing, guys. So make sure you go and check them out. Use promo code MWA pod at discount to get a 10% off your final purchase, so you can rock out with some dirty boxes and get 10% off us at the MWA Podcast Network. But guys, while you're checking out things online, make sure you go and check out healthvape.com. Now, guys, if you're a cigarette smoker, or you're like me, you're a former cigarette smoker, and now you're a vapor, is that what it's called? Anyway, I'm one of those douchebags. I walk around with a vape in my hand, chucking big clouds up. My wife doesn't like it. She's going, babe, you got to get off this vape. That's no good for you. I'm like, I know, but you know what? Health Vape go, Pierce, bro, we got you covered, man. All of their products are no nicotine, no harmful or addictive chemicals, and they are vitamin infused. So, guys, check out some of their pod and vape products. They're sending me out a whole bunch of them. They're getting me off my vape. This is my transition into nothing, not vaping, not smoking, not anything. And I can't wait. I'm excited. Due to all the lockdowns and stuff, it's taking a little bit longer to get on the other side of the world to me. But as soon as they have, guys, I promise I'm giving up the vape. I'm going to be a health vape person, and then I'm going to be nothing. I'm going to be just plain old me, healthy, not needing a thing. So, guys, you want to be like that? Check out healthvape.com and get that promo code MWA pod to get 10% off your final purchase, guys. Guys, also, if you want to get an exclusive look at Shooting the Shit Uncensored, you want to get an exclusive look at Killing the Business, hosted by former ECW original, the Kingpin Angel, and you want to get an exclusive look at Get Funked, hosted by Alan Kwee Funk, former WCW and TNA star, and Knights of the Gimmick Table, guys, hosted by the dead presidents Boogaloo and Lowrider. You need to head over to Vince Russo's The Realm Network, baby. Become a subscriber. You get a look at our shows exclusive over there, and you get an exclusive first look, I should say. And there's amazing other shows that they've got over there as well, hosted by the beautiful people, ODB, Shane Douglas. You've got Vince Russo, Stevie Richards, Ben Hameen. The whole crew is over there, guys, and everyone's putting out amazing shows. But, guys, also MWA Podcast Network is where it's at. We deliver you those 4 shows. You get an exclusive first look over there. Plus, we put out an additional 3 shows live every week just for you guys. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, share, like, comment. Help us grow, guys, because we are here to bring you the very best in pro wrestling entertainment. But, guys, before I bring out my special guest for the evening, I just want to take a quick moment just to pay respect. The wrestling world lost someone very special a couple of days ago, Daphne Unger. Guys, it was very clear that Daphne, was going through some mental health issues, and been struggling for a while. Guys, if you or someone you know is having suicidal thoughts, or you're going through something dark, just know that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. There is always someone that cares about you. And if you're going through that, please seek the help that you need. Please go and check out, the suicide and Australian Lifeline numbers. They're scrolling at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to leave them up for the first half of this interview and also at the end of the interview. If you need to get in contact with anyone, guys, these are the numbers for you. But guys, without further ado, I'm going to bring out my guest of the hour, the man of the moment, Big Rocky Menero. Rocky, welcome to the show.
How you doing, brother? That was one hell of an intro, mate. You go hard there, man. You almost need like having a 5-minute breather.
Dude, this is what I do, man. I love it. I love to be pumped up. I enjoy doing it, and yeah, man, got to try and get in all the good stuff at the end, so we can get to the at the beginning, I should say. So get to the main course, which is the interview itself with you, sir. So, firstly, thank you so much for being a guest. It's absolutely a pleasure to have you on. I've been wanting to have you on for a while.
My pleasure, man. I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk to you. I said I can see that you're excited, so I'm going to get excited now, and we can launch into this.
That's it, man. That's it. Like, as we were saying just before the show started, I checked out the most recent MCW show, where you were crowned the MCW Intercommonwealth champion. For those of you guys that don't know, Lockie Hendricks recently announced he was leaving the organization, and he was the reigning champion. And you were crowned the champion at the last show, if that's fair to state.
It was in his last will and testament. You know, like he's the one that needs dad, and he thinks the dad's the important one to look after everybody else. So give me the belt. It's only right, and it makes sense.
Absolutely, man. But like you breaking into wrestling, like you're actually originally from Adelaide, correct?
I am. Yeah, I'm an Adelaide boy. Yeah. Sort of, lived here my whole life except for spent a year overseas. But yeah, just everything from Adelaide. But I've always just travelled all over Australia and been in Melbourne so much that people actually think I live there. So
that's the mistake I made. I thought you're a Melbourne guy, so I apologize for that. So
no, I can speak correctly.
But hey, man, I'm in Sydney, so don't hold that against me.
That's right, man. I'd love to do. I'm hanging to get back there. So.
Oh, absolutely, man. But so in Adelaide, man, Adelaide is probably, if people are watching this outside of Australia, Adelaide is probably one of the smaller states in the country. However, like as far as wrestling goes, it's kind of a hotbed, man. Like you guys have RCW down there, which do amazing things. You've also got Wrestle Rampage, another promotion doing amazing things. And we're seeing a lot of top tier talent come out of Adelaide, as a whole.
Well, Adelaide's was sort of one of the first ones to really kick back up when wrestling sort of kicked back up in the late 90s, early 2000s. We had a great trainer here, Cole Devani, rest in peace. He was like one of those old school, just taught us all, like this. He was from that generation of this is real, protect it with your life. You know what I mean? And so he sort of instilled that respect into us. And so we had very good, he really worked us with our fundamentals and the basics and trying to get everything, like good wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? Like why be good when you can be great? You know what I mean? Like we would just drill things over and over and over again. And we developed a pretty good sort of style here, so much so that the guys from EPW Perth, it was originally 5 guys from there. They were self-confessed backyarders. They flew over, spent about a month in Adelaide with under our trainer, and we were training every day. And then they took that training back, and then they started the school over there, which then spawned all the stars that have come out of Perth. So, Adelaide's been pretty important to the history of Australian wrestling.
It's funny you said that because I had Davis Storm on probably, I think it was about 2-3 weeks ago. And he actually told us that story. Like it's, they were doing a backyard show. I got to the guys in Adelaide, and they were the only ones who reached out to them saying, hey, come learn how to do this the right way. And it's very clear from hearing like you like sort of explaining as well that your trainers were people that were very passionate about the business and wanting to give to the business as opposed to just sit on the sidelines and sort of throw rocks.
Well, no, he didn't want to just like our trainer didn't want to just sit there and just take money. I mean, like I was actually so bad in my first training session that he was actually going to offer me a refund. Like he just thought, "No, kid, you don't have it. You can." I'm like, "Nah, I'm going to do this." I'll keep pushing through, but he instilled that respect for it and that love into us, and that's what we all needed. We're all 17, 18, 19-year-old kids at the time. We had no idea what we were doing. Needed a bit of direction, needed a bit of guidance, and he's the one that steered us in the right direction. So yeah, that was great coming up that way. Yeah, it's a tough start, but yeah, I mean, the guy, like I'm actually at that stage now where I get to do that. Oh, you kids these days, you don't understand how hard it was.
You're killing the business, kid.
You kids just get away with, if you were in my day, I get to do that now. It's fun, though.
But that's the thing, I think, as well, like a lot of and some of the veterans that I've spoken to in wrestling over the years, I should say, have always said to me is like when they first started coming in the business, or they see someone coming into the business, like back then it was like, no, you get broken on that trial.
Yeah.
Like you go in there, it's like they don't want you to be there. Like if you can survive that, then it's like, okay, well, I'll guess you can come back. And then it's like the numbers of the classes that went into, like I was speaking to one guy, he's like, he was 17, didn't respect the business, went in there, got stretched, got beat the fuck up, and was like, fuck this. But came back a couple years later and was like, with a different mentality for it, knew what was going to happen, went, okay, I have to do this in order to get to here.
Well, our trainer, so he was almost 70 when he was training us when we started. And he'd still, like if he'd teach us how to take a bump, he would take the bump on the floor. I mean, like just pretty much like we had these little thin blue mats, those little acro mats on concrete, and he would just flip over, do a bump, whatever, and just show us how to do everything. Like, so he was hands on, even though he was, in the later stages of his life, he was still like, nah. And there was a few times, because I was a cocky little piece of shit, I would test him and he would put you in hold. Even now to this day, you can dig your fingers into my traps as much as you want, and I think the nerves are dead in there, because he used to just get in there and give you those ones. And yeah, he had that old man strength, and that grip that he could put you in a headlock, and that was it. Once his hands were locked, you weren't breaking for anything. He was just, and he had that. But that's what we needed. We needed someone to be an arsehole like that. That's one of my big issues with wrestling these days, is everyone wants to be the nice guy. Like, you need a few pricks out there, because one thing, keep people motivated, and spite. Like, spite is a hell of a motivator. If you, like, we were always trying to get his approval, and the best compliment I ever got from him when coming up was, that wasn't bad. I'm like, oh, good, it's not bad.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't want to put you over too hard and to inflate the ego, I suppose, right?
Exactly, and that was perfect, and that's exactly what we needed. The thing these days is people are so, once again, I'm sounding old man, but they just want to be, told that they're doing the right thing, and they could be doing the right thing, but you could always be doing better. So don't be too easy with the compliments, and like some people just need to sort of get told their shit, even if they're not. It would drive you.
But I think that comes down to, like, it's more of a society thing now, right? Like, because it's like everyone gets patted on, like, oh yeah, you did really well. Like, here's an award. And I saw it with like my son's football thing, like the beginning of the season. I'm like, hey, does everyone get the award? He's like, yeah, we hand it out every week to a different kid. And I'm like, to me, I'm kind of like, well, that's not really teaching the kids anything. Like, it's nice to get a participation award, but like, that's not real.
No, but then where's the drive to get better? Like, that's the hardest thing. It's like, okay, well, we're always trying to become like great. Like, the difference between good and great is the attention to detail. It's like, well, why just settle for good when you can try for great? And if you think that you're good, you're probably not going to try any harder. And that's the thing. And the guys that do try for great will always, get that attention, that spotlight that the good guys want. It's that old saying of, if you're good, you'll tell everybody. But if you're great, they'll tell you. And so if you're not striving for greatness and you just want to get a pat on the back all the time, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to come. But if you don't worry about the pat on the back and focus on just what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, then all those pats will come.
I think that's 100% right. And like, I think I was just going to say, the people that want to strive for greatness will never be happy. You know what I mean? Like the ones that want it the most. Like, again, like I speak to some wrestling veterans. What was your favorite match? Don't know. Never had it yet. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, that because you're always striving to do better. But
well, even for everyone's favorite match they've had, I could say, oh, okay, this was my favorite match, but I could have changed this. Like no one's hit the perfect game. Like no one's had the match that's just perfect. You know, and like there's a little thing. I mean, it may not be like I hate the whole term botch. I hate people bring that shit up, but there's things that you could have done better. Like I should have looked there, or should have paused for that extra second, or that's the little things that the guys that really know what they're doing. That's the thing they can change. You know, and if the only thing that messed up was you just slipped off the top rope, but okay, that happens. You know, it's an accident. You know,
that's realistic.
That could happen. Yeah, exactly. That could have happened to anyone. So, but it's those other things that you can pick up, the little 1%ers that go, right, I should have done that, or I should have done this. That's the stuff that it's going to make you better.
Oh, absolutely. And, now that you're sort of, the senior guy there and sort of, are you doing some of the training there for some of these guys as well?
Not so much. I do a little bit here in Adelaide for Right City Wrestling. I find it hard because I was so passionate about it when I was younger. And I just loved it. Eat, sleep, breathe wrestling. That was my whole life. And I just wanted to be better at it and get better. And
Rocky's just frozen there for a second, guys, but we will just take a quick second to also mention our beautiful sponsors, Sleeves.com. Use promo code MWA pod and get a 10% discount on all of your athletic wear, guys. So make sure you head over to Sleeves.com and check it out. Rocky, sorry about that.
No, you're okay, man. Probably my dodgy Adelaide connection. So, like, I had such a passion for wrestling and for training. So if someone couldn't match my passion, then I would just be angry at them. You know, and like, I used to ask trainers all the like kids coming in all the time, why do you want to be a wrestler? And they'd look at me and go, I don't know. But then what are you doing here? You know, and like I knew why, and I really wanted to just be. I mean, I always wanted to be on TV. You know, and like I just wanted to be. Like I always joke now, I wanted to be Disco Inferno, just the guy that's on the show every week. I don't care. You know, and like I just wanted to be just a guy that was just a good worker. You know, and like, oh yeah, he's a good worker, he can do a match. You know, and like that's my I knew I was never going to be a superstar or like main event WrestleMania. Just a guy on the show. That's all I wanted to be. Yeah. But yeah, and so then now I find it hard to. When I go to trainings and stuff like that, and because everyone's so sensitive these days, like I try to get really angry. Well, if I do get really angry, they'll start to get offended and he's a jerk and this and that. And the guys who run the school who need the money, will be like, oh, you've got to take it easy on these kids, and they pay it's like, you know what? I can't do it. I can't do it. Like I'll do a few seminars here and there with people because that's like, okay, well, they've paid money to hear me. But if I'm just going there and offering my help, then they can kind of throw it back at me, and I'm just like, well, I'm not going to bother them. Oh, so you've muted yourself there, champion. Oi.
Sorry, I thought I unmuted, man.
But I think that's mate. What's going on here,
mate? Come on, I'm
amateur hour.
Come on, bro. I'm the vet in Australian podcasting, bro. Come on, now. Even the greats have off nights from time to time.
Everyone makes mistakes. You just slipped off the top rope. Who cares? We're going to keep moving.
Exactly, brother. We just turn into the roll for tiger roll, jump up, DDT.
That's right.
Boom.
Crowd didn't notice, mate. We can cover it.
That's it, brother. But, I think that's the thing, though. Like, if you're paying to go and learn how to do something, like, I think you'd want to learn, like, I think there's a difference between being an asshole and a bully and being an assertive, firm trainer. Like, I've done combat sports and I've trained with some guys who were just lousy coaches, but I've trained with some guys that were just hard-ass coaches and, they both get the same result, but what works for one might not work for the other.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I've had guys that have, sort of come up underneath me and stuff like that. And like one of them is Big Duke Hudson. And he's always texting me, he just goes, you're an angry coach, but you're a good coach. He just knows, like, because he's the one that copped it the most. Like me and him I used to pretty much took him under my wing when he first came to RCW back in 2010 or 11. And so it was me and him had an angle that went for about 11 months. And so it was and I was just like, this has to be, you have to do this and you have to do this. And this leads to this. And I was just so adamant about, you need to take these steps to get to the result that you want, rather than just sort of getting instant satisfaction tonight. We're building here. So I need you to do this, and no more, and then do this. And I would abuse him flat. But I mean, it's not saying that it's just all my work. Obviously helps being 6'5" and jacked, but he's taken he takes that and from everyone. He always he's always told me that he appreciated stuff that we did, and me being a jerk to him kind of helped him. It drove him.
I think as well though, in that as well, it motivates people to a certain thing. If they want to get better, they're going to take that sort of coaching. Like any sport is always going to have a coach, which is going to be very firm and assertive to get that result from you, and, you mentioned, Hudson as well, like someone who's gone there, but, he's, obviously took your advice and what you've told him, but it sounds like from back then you were teaching him psychology. It's like, hey, if you go and do all of this in one night, then we're screwed for the next 3 shows. We have nowhere to go for. And I think that's probably an important part that most guys don't get. Or no, most guys starting probably wouldn't get.
Yeah, it's hard to get it at the start. And that's like, because I always grew up a WWF kid. Like I loved watching, and like Bret Hart was my guy. And his stories, his matches made sense. You could explain it. Go, okay, that went because of that, and that all made sense. So I always had that mentality. I was fortunate enough when I was younger, when someone would, every now and then we would just get one international would come over, like a former WWF guy or whatever, and they'd pretty much do like a loop around the country. And I always got them when they wrestled in Adelaide. So I wrestled guys like Steve Carino, Raven, and that sort of thing, and Al Snow. And so when you work with those guys, because this isn't a huge show for them, so they're trying to take it easy, but they're like, all right, we'll still get people their money's worth without hurting ourselves, like doing the whole smoke and mirrors of what wrestling's supposed to be. And so they taught me the same thing, right, do this, don't do that. We're not the same size. We need to play to make things make sense, rather than now just everyone just does everything. There's guys that are like 5'8" and weigh 60 kilos, and they just take 5 knees to the head and they don't even go down. It's just like, okay, you're taking some of the believability out of this. But they taught me, a lot of the psychology stuff, but getting in the ring with them, you kind of learn to listen to the crowd and work from there. And that's why I'm glad I always got that sort of coaching. So that's why I've always been real passionate about that, because physically, I'm not the most gifted athlete. I'm not the most coordinated guy. I can do stuff well, but I know where my limits are, and so I stay within my limit. So sometimes I think people try to get too much into I'll be the really athletic guy, or I'll do all these really cool moves. It's like, okay, you did these really cool moves and you made them look good, but no one cared. When I look at matches, I don't look at, that move looks really cool, I'm going to go steal that, rip that off. I watch a move and go, right, that move plus what he did after that move got that reaction. I'll give that a try. And that's where I've always seen wrestling. And not saying that my way is the only way to do it, the right way to do it. That's the beauty of wrestling. There's so many different flavors. But that's just the way I've always done things. So it's like, that's what I try to put out there. I'm like, look, I'll help you with this bit. Get someone else to help you with the technical stuff. Get you someone else to help you with the physical stuff. And, you put it all together.
But that's the thing. In pro wrestling, to be a great professional wrestler, you don't necessarily have to be the best in-ring wrestler. You know what I mean? Like there's different aspects and elements to professional wrestling. Like you look at guys like, Hulk Hogan, I think he probably could have done a lot more than what we actually saw, like through his Hulkamanian brother run. But the thing is as well, like how much of that he was protected, go out there, leg drop, big boot, leg drop, pick up the title, walk around, send the crowd home happy, done. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the reason why he had such a long run. Because he never gave away too much. He had a formula, it worked, keep working that. And then once that sort of started to die, they ran it into the ground. But once that sort of started to die, okay, they gave him something different. And then he did the whole NWO thing. And that was, and none of his matches when he was Hollywood Hulk Hogan were any good. It was just him walking around going, cha-cha, ha-cha, and just like a little short punch. And just punching people in the throat. But he was that personality. He understood that he was the character, that he's the bad guy in Game of Thrones that you want to see die. You hate the character every time he's on screen. You just want to see him die, but he doesn't, and it frustrates you. So you come back. No one wants to be that guy. Except for me.
But sorry, go.
No, you go.
No, please.
No, that's the thing. So I think the match quality will only get you so far. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
some guys can have like a pretty long run and that sort of stuff. But if your only selling point, or your major selling point is I can do really good matches, eventually you're going to be in the ring with somebody that's probably shit. And then that's going to bring down your average. You know, and like, so then if that's all you sell yourself on is I have the good matches. Okay, well, what do you have a match with someone that's not very good? Okay, now you're not having good matches. So then who are you? You know, and whereas with Hogan, it's like you set expectations for match quality here, but you set your expectations for excitement here. And he would always get to that top excitement level, even if this was shit. This could fluctuate all the time, but you were always going to be excited, and that's what you're going to go for.
And that's the thing about, you know, the wrestling business, getting that reaction, being over, being able to get a reaction from someone. If the fan isn't booing you or cheering you, and they're just like,
well, I always say to people, like, how do you win or lose in wrestling if it's predetermined? I'm like, the only way to lose is if everyone's sitting there quietly. Then you've lost.
Oh, 100%, you know, but as far as the Rocky Monero character, like, you know, as I said, I wanted to have you on as soon as I saw you awarded the title at MCW. I was like, all right, I want to have a conversation with this guy because I really enjoyed the character. You know, how did you create the character Rocky Monero? Like, what was the thought pattern behind it? Was it something straight away into the business you came up with the character? You know, how did it come to be?
It started off like I always say it was me when I was drunk. So when I'm drunk, I can either be the person you love or the person that you hate. And I have a very naturally shit-eating grin. And so people can either enjoy that or they hate it. So when I've been, you know, in my younger years and stuff, been the big super baby face, everyone loves it. But then as soon as you start sort of giving them nothing, they start to go, oh, he's just cocky and arrogant. Perfect. It just flows through. It's that whole, you know, I hate the cliche, but it's just me with the volume turned up to 11, you know, like, but like, I just take things that I know will work. Like I had a run here recently where I was like the RCW champion for 600 days. And it was over a lot of the COVID period. So that's why we didn't have any shows. That's why I had the longest title
the reigning chair, exactly.
And the crowds, and I just decided to, without just being a blatant ripoff, taking things from things that were happening in society that people were disliking, like Donald Trump. People would get so, I'd watch the people that hated Donald Trump and they'd get so frustrated. He just thinks he does everything right. And he just lies and this and that. So when people would go, oh, you're already champion because of COVID, I'm like, nah, it's because I'm really good. You know, like I'm just the best. And then that sort of person, no, you cheat to win. No, I don't. I won. You know, and like, what are you talking about? You know, and like, but you don't, you just don't sell it. You know, and that then makes them frustrated. Like, I hate you. You know, and you're just like, yeah, but you shouldn't because I'm the best. You know, and like, but that's and you just keep being that person. So I find myself watching interviews and going, fuck, he annoys me when he does that. And then I'm like, right, it's annoying me, then I'll do that to other people. You know, like, so that's where the character comes from. It's like you think of what works, what annoys you is probably going to annoy other people too, or things that you're passionate about, then you can get other people's passion in there too.
Yeah, no, like it definitely sounds like you enjoy the heel aspect side of it more than a baby face. And it's like
so much fun.
Yeah, like what's the most amount of heat you've been able to get from a crowd?
Probably back in the day, like maybe 2003, like with my old trainer. So we did an angle where he was always telling me off because I was starting to turn into the cocky kid. I was the young baby face, and then I start doing things that he doesn't agree with. And then one night after I cheated to win the old, I can't remember, joint promotions wrestling title, because I cheated, he got in the ring, got in my face. And then I tried to hit him, he blocked it, and he dropped me. So I pop up and body slammed him. This is a 70-year-old man in a venue that he used to wrestle in back in the day. So there was a lot of people there that knew him and loved him. Yeah. And they were coming up to guardrails and stuff like that. And then after the show, backstage, that went well. Packed my bag, back to walk out. The security guy goes, nah, there's people waiting for you at the car park.
No shit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this was like 18 years ago, but that happened. It still happened. People were waiting for me. They wanted to get a piece after the show. So that's probably the most heat I've ever gotten. But for
In
now, it's just like,
2003, that's pretty good heat to get, bro.
yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I hung my hat on that one for a while. But I mean, just simple things of that, the MCW show you just watched, after the match with Flex, where we did the big turn with the Natural Classics and the Pereira joining me and creating my little team there. Yeah. There was people standing, and like the promoter was telling me, he was worried they were going to start throwing stuff. And like he goes, because everyone was getting that angry because we just, and like they hated me and they hated the two boys, the two Adelaide boys with me. And then to be able to take some other one else from Melbourne that they enjoyed and bring them over here, and just sort of like really stuck in their craw. The crowd really got excited. And that's good.
Think how good that would be. Think how good that'd be if the fans actually started throwing shit at you. Like it'd be like, you know what I mean? But like on camera, that would look amazing. Like
I'm all for it. Like I remember my first match I had, like that was back in the day of the NWO and stuff like that, where people would just pelted shit in the ring. And I don't know why. Like I know it's not safe and dangerous, but as long as it's within reason, like people throwing drinks and like plastic cups and like hot dogs, buns and stuff like that, that's fine. When you start throwing hard objects, obviously we're going to draw the line. Yeah. But yeah, I remember the first time I had a match, and my very first match, I was 17 and I was gassed. And this is like maybe 6 minutes of work and I am gassed. And someone threw like a half-eaten Mars bar in the ring, and the Mars bar was sitting there on the floor. I was kind of like, oh, I could probably eat that right now.
No.
No, I didn't eat it, but I was that when in my head was just like, I saw it there and I'm like, man, I could go that right now. I'm so tired. But I didn't. But I just remember we used to get shit thrown at us all the time. And like, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, and it was like the product of that era, but to be able to get people that angry is what you want. And so now I know, like, because people like to come to shows, especially in Melbourne. Melbourne's got a very hipster community of, like, oh, we're aware of what's going on and we're just like you, and we just choose to sit here, but we could do what you do. They think that they are as good or smart as the wrestlers. It's like, nah, mate, I'm pulling the strings here, not you. And so when you take that away from them, or you can, because they like to know, you're the heel, you're the face, and I'll boo him and I'll cheer you, but they secretly, and then the heel goes out there and sells merchandise and like sucks up to them. It's like, nah, mate, like just. I'm old school, and I've never really done this for the money. I've done it more for the love of it. And it's just like, I'm not selling T-shirts. Like, I don't want you to wear my shit. Like, and people have gone, but we'll buy your shirt. I'm like, I don't care. I don't really want you representing me. Like your shit. Like, so, and I'm happy to be that asshole, because no one wants to be the heel, because everyone wants to make money. And I get it. I get there's more money in being the heel that kind of sells merch still. Yeah. Or being the heel that, but if you want real heat, like to get people to stand up and look like they're going to throw shit at you, if you want people to really hate what you're doing, then you have to be like a hated person. Like, you can't just toe in the water. You can't just go, oh, boo me over here, but then, like, I'm not a bad guy. It's like, people think I'm just a prick, and I'm not going to tell them otherwise. Like, I don't know them, so I don't care.
But it's kind of like MJF now. Like, you've seen him, like, he had a formula which was like, I'm going to be the baddest motherfucker there is. And, I spoke to a promoter when he was on the indie, like MJF was in the indies, and I spoke to the CZW promoter, and he's like, yeah, he came up to me before a show once and was like, hey, so I got an idea to get some heat. And he's like, what is it? He goes, so I want to take the American flag, put it in the middle of the ring, and then I want to shit on the flag in the ring. He goes, I want to shit on the flag. And he goes, you want to talk shit about the flag? He's like, no, I want to take my pants down and shit on the literal flag in the ring. And he's like, the promoter's like, hell no. Like, no fuck. But that's the level of, like, to get that sort of heat in America, dude.
Yeah, that's like, you watch him even on social media. That's one of the big things that kind of kills people these days. There's too much access to the wrestlers. Like, there's you can just message them, talk to them, whatever. And like, I get then you need to have a bit more access, but then also, like, some people just have too much, and they have their sort of persona online, and then their persona, when they're wrestling. But you follow MJF on Twitter, and he's the same prick every time. Like, he doesn't break character for anything, and that's what you need. Like, everyone watched the Undertaker documentary last year, that Last Ride one, and he even admitted, like, he just wore black all the time. Like, he couldn't act like he was like undead all the time, or like an actual Undertaker. but he didn't stray too far in when he was in the public eye or the general public. I'm wearing all black, and I'm not really talking to people. I'm going to stay in character. And that's why that character is such an amazing character, because he stayed in it all the time. It wasn't something that just came or went. So that's why this sort of character, to circle it back to me, kind of gets the reaction does, because I don't, like, people look at it, and even if they do know me, I'm like, I can still be a prick, and they know it, and like, so it's like, don't trust me, because as soon as you think you're on my side or I like you, I'll just pull the rug out from under you. And you've got to have that people constantly go, I just don't like him. But then it also helps that you're big enough that people kind of go, but I also don't want to fight him because he'll probably kick my ass.
Yeah. It's like, I hate him, but I'm not going to fuck with him.
Exactly.
But that's the thing. It's as a performer, as a wrestler, you want to be able to be that thing. Is like that big tougher thing. Is like, you don't like me, what the fuck are you going to do about it? Nothing. Beat it.
There's the little guys that say, okay, yeah, cool. They like I said, wrestling's a different thing to them, and it's a different sport to them. But I said I don't have those skills, those abilities to flip around and do all the cool moves. Cool. So I'll just tap into the other stuff, and that's good, because we've got, like, especially with MCW, we've got a mixed bag of that. Like, you've got the guys that are there that are your hard workers. Like guys like your Royce Chambers and Adam Brooks, stuff like that are really just great wrestlers. And then you've got guys like Caveman Ugg, who's just a great character. But then you've got guys that can tell better stories. So I'm like, I'll just tell a better story. I work with somebody like Slex, who's one of the greatest wrestlers that this country's ever produced. And we can, so everyone knows that you can do those matches, like the match he had 3 Stages of Hell, whatever, with Brooksy. People know that you can do that. Let's see how they feel when you're coming down to my hacky level. And we just tell a story. It's like, play to some, like, something different. Just give them something they're not expecting. When they see him, they expect XYZ. Well, I'm just going to take away XYZ, maybe leave them Z, but that's it. And then, okay, well, where's this going next? That's where, once again, it all ties back into just think long term. Like, where are you going next?
And that's the thing I think that we've been able to see with more of, obviously, over the years, is long-term storytelling on, independent promotions, or promotions that aren't necessarily the WWE, for example, because of social media. And I think, like, a lot of promotions and also wrestlers have really benefited with social media to be able to tell, like, a really good storyline, to help that sort of progress the storyline on in between, from show A to show B to show C. You know what I mean? It sort of helps tell that story.
Well, because there is such, like, there's most independent shows, like, especially in Australia, your shows maybe are once every 3 weeks to 4 weeks, and we don't have, the whole thing before was, we don't have TV, so people don't understand the story. So a lot of wrestling shows used to just sort of tell the story, start and finish in one night. And it worked, it worked for a long period of time. That's the old, if we're traveling around, do that carnival trick, you just do the same story. But now with social media, and because the world's so small now via things like YouTube, that you can still, and everyone has their own streaming platforms and stuff like that, you can just keep putting content out, whether it's the show or not. You're doing promos, or you just keep it going, keep the stories going. You don't need to have the 2-hour TV show like every week, like WWE does. You can just still get your stories across, and people can still follow it. And the people that want to follow it will follow it. They'll follow it through Twitter. They'll follow it through thing. As long as you keep, a bit of that thread going through, people will see it and keep following through, and then it's easy for them to pick up the story again.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I think as well, it makes it sort of, when they go to the show, they know what they're expecting, not what they're expecting, but they know part of the story, what is unfolding in front of them, because they've seen these vignettes, these promos, from the in between from the previous show. So they're going, okay, we've seen this story develop. Here's the blow off. We know that this is going to be something spectacular to sort of bring this feud home, or to continue it on to the next. Like, where's it go from here?
Well, that's the thing. Like, you see companies like PWA in Sydney, or like EPW in Perth, or MCW, that sort of thing. Their production crews are like top level, like world class. Like the videos, like we got 4K cameras at MCW, and the editing and stuff like that, and they have their own, people telling stories. It's like it's all part of the team. It's not just the guys in the ring anymore. Like, literally, when I started, it was like old mate in the corner is the promoter, and he's also in the main event. And then that's his missus, and she's gonna take the door money, and then it's his like little sister and her friends are gonna walk around with handheld cameras and film it. And like it was real shoddy. But now there's professional teams, there's professional photographers, like proper commentators, everything, video editors, everything, to make everything look as professional as possible. So all these sort of independent promotions are still, are as good, if not, as more interesting as than some of the big leagues.
I completely agree with you. I think as well that what you see as well, like you see the improvement of the quality of video production. It's not taken by a handheld camera, so it makes it more, cosmetically pleasing to a viewer to want to sit down and watch something that looks like it's been filmed on a proper camera instead of someone's iPhone with some guy walking around like this at ringside.
And I can promise you, we don't have as many sharp cuts as WWE, so you won't get like dizzy. So I can't watch a WWE show without getting vertigo, man. It's bad, and like I'm a bit funny with lots of changing of lights and stuff like that, and the amount of times the angles change on those shows, I'm just like, I can turn it off. I can't watch it.
It's it's the storylines for me. But, but I think as well, like, with Australian wrestling, we've seen Australian wrestling be taken more serious, I'd say, in the last 10, 15 years. We're seeing, Australian performers being recognized and put in spots for like a WWE and NXTs and, stuff like that, and given opportunities to perform at a very high level as well. It's like not just a spot on the card. It's like a predominant spot here and a predominant spot there to show how good that the skills that Australian talent does have. But I think as well, it's gone from being more of like, okay, you're an Australian, well, you're going to be called Outback Jack, and by golly sport, you've got this, mate, to now just being, oh, this is a professional wrestler who's a professional athlete, just happens to be from Australia.
Australia, yeah.
It's not the gimmick, you know what I mean? Like they're given more, I think, I don't want to say freedom, but more opportunity to represent themselves how they want to be represented.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the whole thing of that stereotype gimmicks have pretty much gone out the window, which is kind of refreshing, even though that's what I grew up on and sort of loved as a kid. But it's good now the guys kept. But the thing is, they need to then still make a character. And like, okay, so you're from Australia. What else you got? And like you used to be, you just rode that all the way home, but now you need to have a character and something to do. But the Australian at the moment, like the Australian scene's always been great, not just because I've been in it, but it's
don't start working me, brother.
But then you can. Like, there's always been heaps of talent here, but it was always too hard to travel and whatnot. And then, like back in the day, like when sort of a lot of us older guys were coming up, that's when there was only the one promotion, which was WWE, and that was pretty much the only place you could work. And like there wasn't really anywhere else going. But now, like your Ring of Honor is a huge promotion now. You've got Impact, you've got AEW, who just had a great show. And like so, WWE isn't the only port of call. I mean, you look at Robbie Eagles, who's the junior heavyweight champion in New Japan. And like that's incredible for Australia to be put in that prominent position. I mean, like I said, he's got all the talent in the world, but he doesn't have to be like you were saying, true blue Aussie, g'day mate. Like he can just be himself, and he's from Australia, and that's what people love.
Yeah, and it gives them that sort of credit. I think it also gives it a level of credibility for performers, because I think that we kind of saw like that sort of thing change. Like even when I think Tennille was in WWE at the beginning, it was still very much like, oh, I'm from Sydney, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, like they kind of played it up a little bit, but that sort of changing of that time frame as well. So, but I think as well, you started to see other countries become into fruition. But I've watched the Australian wrestling scene since the early 2000s, and I agree, Australian wrestling has always been good, but now it's been like the last 10 or so years where the rest of the world has sort of gone, what are those little fuckers doing down there? And, but that's what
thing, like this. It's good. Like they've been taking notice, and that's, like I said, that's the beauty of the world being smaller with the social media and like YouTube and stuff like that. Because we remember when, like, one of my favorites, old Concrete Davidson in Sydney, and he came out with the strongman gimmick, and then all of a sudden, like 6 months later, there's the Vaudevillians on WWE. You're like, like I feel like maybe you borrowed that from somewhere. But that's that's the thing. Like people do like it used to be here of like I'm a wrestler and stuff like that, and I know it knows who you are. It's like, well, there's people that watch, like your show here. You're producing a wrestling podcast out of Sydney, and you've got subscribers all over the world. Like the world, because of the internet, the world's a small place, so people can know who you are, like all over the place. I've done other podcasts where they're, oh yeah, we've got heaps of people in like Finland listening. I'm like, really? Like, okay. Like, it's just, that's how small the world is now. Like, if you've got something that's there, it's quality, people will find it. Like, and that's one thing we love about like last year, especially doing a lot of those MCW, started this year with the MCW shows, is because the rest of the world wasn't doing crowds yet, and we were, Australian wrestling became sort of very popular to watch because you're watching wrestling in front of video screens or just no crowd is shit. It defeats the whole purpose of wrestling. But yeah, so we were getting all this feedback from all these like UK wrestling podcasts and that sort of stuff. Like a lot of British podcasts and a lot of British people were watching it and giving feedback and getting stuff from the States and Canada and stuff like that. So it was good. Good to know that your stuff's getting out there.
And it's getting reached as well, where people sort of, the rest of the world, I think as well, like COVID, in the lockdowns that happened, like Australia was probably one of the only countries that were having sporting events at close to full capacity. Like we were in Sydney, I can't speak for Melbourne, but I'm pretty sure Melbourne had events where it was like almost at full capacity. I know Sydney definitely was. And, that was like, if you want to watch live, like pro wrestling is so much better with a fucking crowd.
It's only pro wrestling with a crowd. Like it's not that it's so much better. It's nothing without the crowd because it's not a real contest. So wins or losses don't mean shit. Once again, the only way you can lose is the crowd silent. So if there's no crowd, then you fucking lost.
But that's the thing. Like for the audience to be able to be on the other side of the world and be tuning in to watch live wrestling, and Australian wrestling is the only live wrestling. Are you going to be disappointed? Like, really? Like, I think we got probably one of the best scenes in the world.
I've been saying, and that's what always annoyed me because everyone was always like, oh no, Japan's the place to be, or BritRest and all these other places. It's just like, mate, we've had the talent here, and we've had the talent here for years. It's just we just needed. Sometimes you just need someone to put it together in the right package, and so your bigger companies around the country, like we said, like you were saying before, Rampage, RCW, MCW, PWA, EPW, those sort of bigger promotions are making it. It's like finally going, right, we've got all this talent and we've got this production quality, and we just put that together, and that's the reason why we keep losing all our bloody stars to overseas. Especially all the girls. They just take them. They just come to me, oh, that shit looks good, and pinch her.
But I also think that the promotions around the States working together and having the we mentality as opposed to the me mentality, where it's like, no, like but working together, and you sort of see like, talents from Sydney going to Adelaide, going to Melbourne talents coming to Sydney, going to Adelaide, Queensland talents going over, Adelaide talents, you know what I mean? Like you're starting to see, and the shows are getting better matches because you're getting the people that don't come and usually perform every month at your show, but now you'd be able to bring this person in, like, let's use a name like AJ Istria, for example, Punch Drunk Istria. Bring him in. Okay, no worries. He does a run through in MCW or Melbourne. Great. Then you bring in Ugg over to Adelaide for riots. You know what I mean? Like, then your audience is getting.
There's still a bit of me. There's still a bit of there's still some shows that you can't do and you can do and stuff like that, and that's always a bit of a laugh. Because I'm one of the few guys from Adelaide that's actually wrestled for everybody. Like I'm one of the few guys that's done RCW, Rampage, MCW. Like I've done all the shows except for PWA in Sydney. It's the only one I haven't done. But there's still a bit of that. But yeah, you're right in the sense that it's good to come in and offer a different style. And now it's not so much you're coming in cold. Because of what we were talking about earlier with the internet and that sort of stuff and social media, and like people kind of know who you are before you're there, which is nice, because I remember you used to have to come out, and I remember one time I wrestled a show in Queensland in front of about maybe 150 people, and they wanted me to be the babyface, and no one knew who I was, so it was some pretty hard fucking lifting at the start of the match to try to just, guys, trust me, I'm the guy you want to cheer for. You know, like you really have to. You are doing a lot of these, you know, like you're some come on babies, you know, because they have no idea who you are. They're like, hey, he looks pretty big, but I don't really know. But you had to do the heavy lifting, you know, like, but now you can, like, I could go, you know, when I first went over back to Melbourne, you know, I hadn't wrestled in Melbourne in 10 years, but people knew who I was, you know, because they'd been putting out the little videos, and, you know, we could advertise that I was there, and then they could go, oh, who is that? And then they look up the stuff that I've done here and stuff like that. And then you kind of go, okay, I know what's going on. So by the time I walk out there, it's not just doing that cold walkout that you used to do and have to kind of go, give me something.
Come on, brother.
Yeah, slap the mat. Come on, baby. They kind of know who you are already. So that's like, it's already a leg up. And so it does help. And because like before all the lockdowns and state closures and stuff like that, like flights weren't that expensive. You know, so it was quite easy to get here, there, and everywhere. And that's the best thing and worst thing about wrestling is that you have so many friends all over the country. But the worst thing is you only ever see them when there's wrestling shows. And they kind of get in the way. Wrestling always gets in the way of a good time.
I'm sure it does, man. You know, but like there's always after the shows, right?
Yeah, but a lot of us are old now, man. When I was younger, it was fine. A lot of us are like, you know, I mean, I don't have kids, but all of my mates have kids. And yeah, so it's like, yeah, we'll go have a beer. And then we have a beer. And they're like, all right, let's go to bed.
Can confirm, bro. I'm 39. I got three kids, man. It's like, that one beer. It's like
that was enough. That's all I needed. So, I mean, you still have your blowouts from time to time, but they're a lot fewer and far between than they used to be.
Oh, exactly, man. But you know, as far as like making your way down to Sydney, is PWA one of the organisations that are on your list that you'd like to compete at?
I'd like to give it a crack. I've always liked their stuff, and you know, like I've been in contact with Jack Bonser about it before, that sort of thing, and I've worked a couple of guys from there anyway, like Moretti and stuff like that. So I've always loved their product, but yeah, at this stage, I'm not really looking at taking too many extra bookings. Like I'm getting pretty close to the end, like just because, like I said, I've got the passion for it, but it's hard to, there's nowhere for me to go. You know, and like I'm not trying to make it at this stage because I'm physically broken. Like my neck is that held together with like duct tape and zip ties. So I can't do a whole lot anymore. So then I don't sort of like, I don't want to go out there and just not be able to be what I was. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why I got to kind of be very selective with where I wrestle or when I wrestle and that sort of stuff. And I don't want to be like, right, well, like for my own personal ego, yeah, I'd love to come and do a show in PWA and put on a great match. But if there's another kid that you can bring over that might benefit a bit more from that, do that. You know, like that's where I stand now with a lot of bookings. You know, people go, oh, we want you for this. I'm like, right. Is there a story that you need me to get across? You know, like with the MCW, they're like, right, we want you to come in, do this. Cool, no worries, I'll do that. But if it was just, oh, come over and just have a really good match, that's not me. Like I can't. I'd rather you bring in somebody else that's trying to make a name for themselves and would rather, you know, let them sort of have that chance to flourish. I've had my time. You know, and like, yeah, I had my time. It didn't work as much as I wanted it to, but I still had fun. So I'd rather.
But that's a pretty good way for a veteran to be in the business, though. Like to have that mentality where it's always been a like, you know, throat cutter industry. Oh, I'll jump in there. I'll take that spot. Yep, I'll jump in there, and it just seems like, you know, you've got a pretty good common sense mentality of what you're looking for within, you know, bookings as well. It's like, okay, if there's something there, it's going to be storyline. It's going to be an interesting thing for you. But to go in and have a good match with this company's top guy, well, you can bring in someone like this, and you know they're going to appreciate that opportunity more. You know,
exactly. So it's like I want every time that like I don't wrestle that much, but now every time I get in there, I want to do something that I'm proud of. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be just doing it for the sake of doing it. I want to make sure it's like, right, what's my goals for this year? And like I always set myself sort of goals, like, okay, I want to try to get this over, get that over, get this over, get that over, get this over. All right, how do I go about that? Okay, well, if I do this tonight, that tomorrow, that the next day, that there, okay, then I can get that reaction. So I'm always thinking about what's the last reaction I can get? What's the end? You know, it's that whole thing of start at the end and work backwards. So, okay, so if I do this, then I can give them that. And then if I do that, I can give them that. And like, so that's where, and that's the only thing that still sort of drives me, and that's where I get excited, and I get G'd up. Like, okay, I can tell the story and I can do this. And then if I did this, and then you did this to me, and then blah, 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 it usually ends up with me getting mask kicked. But
like, a good heel always does, bro.
But then, like, yeah, I love that's the stuff that I'm passionate about. But then even now, like, the thing, I like coaching that stuff. So, like, there's a few people that will listen, and then when you see them do it, and you get to do the whole proud father thing, and that's my boy. Like the Pereira boys, and like Gabriel Eros and Eli Theseus, they're my boys. I love those.
I really, you know what? I saw them on the show. I actually really enjoyed their intensity and everything about how their presentation. $1 million. I really enjoyed their stuff.
They're like I said, if you're going to look up anything on Riot City Wrestling, they're the two to take a look at, because same thing with them, they see it the same way I do, because they're performers. They've actually been in a cabaret show that's been to obviously the Adelaide Fringe, but also to the Edinburgh Fringe. These boys are performers, so they get it, and they said they know how to work a crowd, so some of the guys only know wrestling, and they know if I take this step A, B, and C, I'll get this reaction. Whereas when you're performing for different crowds, you've got to learn, okay, it's not so much what I'm doing, it's how I'm doing it is going to draw the crowd in. We have the Fringe Festival here in Adelaide, which we get to wrestle at now, which is great, but it's like a month straight where there's just street performers. And I would just sit there and watch street performers and see how they engage crowds. And it's like, well, they're getting cold people, and they are literally trying to pull anyone that is walking down the street into them. I'm like, so study how they're doing that. What is he doing? How's he doing it? What are they saying? How do they draw them in? How do they, make them wait? Blah, 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 build some sort of anticipation. And those boys have got that too. They've seen that, and they've seen how to do. So they're, like I said, they're little things. And when they come out, they've got that intensity. So you kind of go, as soon as they come out, you're like, what? Okay, what's going on over there? That's them. Okay. You can't take your eyes off them, because they're giving you that intensity from the start. So you watch their matches. Are the matches great? They're good. They're not putting on 5-star classics. They're putting on good matches that are getting great reactions, but they're not, they've learned, okay, do the character stuff, draw that crowd in, and make them actually give a shit whether you actually win or lose your wrestling match. And that's where that passion comes out from the crowd and stuff like that. And that's what makes the atmosphere at shows so good, and that's what we've got, and that's what we've got, the guys that can do that.
Yeah, and I think that, I definitely saw that when they were coming out, that intensity was something that sort of, like, I like seeing that, because when I see guys coming out intense, I'm going, all right, these motherfuckers are going to be doing some stiff shots. Like, this is going to be some aggressive wrestling, which is, again, wrestling is a display of combat sport, so we want to see it look as realistic and hard hitting as possible. And I sat there and I watched the match, and I was like, I'd never even heard of the guys before that. And I was like, shit, these guys are fucking good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good match, good presentation. And, when you said they knew how to captivate the audience from the get-go, from the background, I wouldn't have even picked that they come from a cabaret background. But that to me was just like, straight away. I had my attention was on them.
Like, so I've seen them have a match that, like, I was judged by, if I have, so my girlfriend come to shows and she brings a whole bunch of people from the gym that I work at. These people don't know any of the characters, any of the wrestlers. They don't know anything. They're coming in. They actually are coming in cold. And I take her feedback. I get the feedback, everything they say. Those two boys have had a match where they literally lost the match in about 40 seconds. But they were all anyone could talk about, apparently, from, like, my girlfriend's friends. Like, that's what they, like, because their entrance, like, they won them over at the entrance. Yeah. And these are non-wrestling fans, and they're buzzing about something they've seen, which wasn't even like wrestling. They wrestled for 40 seconds. But the showmanship is what that brought them in. And they're the ones that go, oh, those two boys going to wrestle again on your show? Yes, they are. Like, come again. Yeah. Like, that's where I think sometimes we need wrestlers to pander to the general public, not to wrestling fans. Because I always say, there's no point pandering to wrestling fans for two reasons. One, we've already got their money. They're coming regardless. And two, they're going to complain the whole time anyway. Like,
they're going to find something to shit on it. You know?
Exactly. If it's not what they had in their head, then they think it was wrong. And then they go, I don't like that. You know, and it's just like, you're not a Booker champ. You're a fucking fan. Just be a fucking fan. You know, and like, so, but you can't let them have the control. You know, once again, it circles back to we're pulling the strings, not you, mate. So,
but I find it funny that if a fan comes up and like you see him after the show, hey, what do you think of the show? Well, I thought it was okay, but I would have booked it this way. And I've seen like fans say that comment, and I just go, fuck. This is why they call you Marks, bro.
But they can say that, and that's their right to be that person and think they know better. The difference is, does the wrestler they're telling it to take it on board? Because if they take it on board, then they're just as bad as a fan. You know, and like they should know better. They should know. Like I could have had people go, oh, this should have happened. That's cool. Yeah, no, but you don't know what's coming 2 months down the road. You know, and I do, and you don't. So that's why you're sitting there going, you know, with no, because you only have this much information, and I have all this information that I'm just giving you, just feeding
what you need to know right now.
Exactly. And so that's why they go, oh, this should have done this, and that should have done this, and this. And it's like, yeah, cool, no worries, but you don't know where we're going yet. So you can just shut up, sit there, eat your popcorn.
But they'll pay their money for the next show to come and see exactly what the fuck is going on.
Exactly. And even though they think they know better and it would have worked better, yep, cool, no worries, but they're going to keep coming back.
Yeah, that's always my favorite line is, I would have booked it this way, and I've heard that at a few shows, and every time I just go, oh fuck, okay, I'm gonna go now.
I'll give a tip to any aspiring wrestler or anyone that's been watching the show. If you need to know how to respond to this, just big thumbs up in their face. Don't say anything. Don't even let them see your face. Just give them that one, because you can't argue with the thumbs up. There's like, oh yeah, you're really shit. Yeah, and then what? You've got nothing to say to that if you don't respond and you don't give them anything. But that'll drive them nuts, and that's what you want.
Absolutely, man. But it is just past that 1 hour mark, ladies and gentlemen. It is that time for 60 seconds with Piers. I've warned, or should I say briefed, Mr. Menero on how this is going to go down. So basically, Rocky, how it works is I'm going to fire a bunch of questions at you. You've got 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. When you are ready, sir, you give me the green light and I'll start the clock.
Green light's on, brother. Let's go.
Home barbecues or nightclub?
Home barbecue.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
What was the last gift you gave someone?
Last gift I gave someone, my nephew is a baby and just been born, and I bought him a little blanket thing.
Oh, would you rather have toe-length fingers or finger-length toes?
Toe-length, finger-length. No, jeez, the second one.
You have 24 hours to spend $2 million. How do you spend it?
Probably don't want to say it because it'll get me in trouble with the police. Traveling with lots of stuff that makes you stay awake.
Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
What was your nickname growing up?
Oh, mate, I had that many. It's like Speedy Gonzalez or Speed Racer. Yeah.
Aliens, real or fake?
Fake.
5-star hotel or camping?
5-star hotel.
What was the name of your first car?
The name?
Yep.
Oh, shitbox. It's like a fucking hand-me-down. It was a piece of crap.
Last one. In 5 minutes, you are being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding humans?
My electric toothbrush. I can't live without that. I'm one of those people now. I just can't go without my electric toothbrush. And I don't know, like a spare pair of jocks. That's all you need.
Hey, man, you know what? If you said toothpaste, that would have been a perfect mix, right?
Yeah. I can just brush my teeth without it. But yeah, I've become that person now that can't go back to manual toothbrush. I'm just like, nah, I'm not fancy or bougie in any sort of way. I'm not high maintenance, but fuck that. I ain't brushing my teeth with my
I refuse to do this.
That's it. No, mate, I've drawn the line. Once you cross over into electric toothbrush world, mate, you're never going back. Never.
Oh man, I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. They've both got electric toothbrushes. I just walk in and go, "You brushing your teeth?" And they're like,
Mate,
well done,
much
kids.
more efficient.
But, Rocky, thank you for being a guest on the show. Where can everyone find you? Where can everyone support you? Buy some merch, or where do they need to get approval to buy your merch? I should say.
At Rocky Monero, Instagram, Twitter. There's a Rocky Monero Facebook page as well. No merch. I'm not doing it. I'm thinking of maybe doing world's greatest dad mugs, but like coffee mugs. But that's about it. I just don't. So I don't do it for the money. So people start buying stuff from me, and then they start thinking that they're helping me out, and then they start cheering for me, and I don't want that shit. Like, no, I'm not interested. Yeah. I just get the promoters to pay me. I'm like, yeah, look, just pay me more because I'm not making that extra money on merch. Like
that's it, man. Just everyone kick up a little bit more to Mr. Menero, and it'll be all good. But guys, Rocky, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you for checking out this episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Brought to you by Vince Russo's The Realm Network and MWA Podcast Network. Guys, thank you to our sponsors, Sleeves.com, your one-stop shop for all your athletic wear, and also healthvape.com, the one-stop shop for your healthy vaping alternatives. Use promo code MWA MWA Pod at checkout to get 10% off your final purchase. And guys, as well, as I said at the top of this show, the wrestling world did lose someone last couple of days, Daphne Unger, which was due to some mental health issues. So, if you or someone you know is feeling suicidal, please feel free to contact the USA Suicide Prevention Hotline if you are in the States, or Australian Lifeline. There are people that care about you. If you're in a country and you can't find a contact, hit me up, find me, and I'll help put you in the right place, the right direction, and help you find that help. But guys, thank you again, Rocky, for coming on the show. And we definitely have to do a part 2 somewhere down the line, my friend.
Mate, anytime, mate. You let me know.
Too easy, guys. We'll catch you next time, guys, and we'll see you very soon. Till then, peace.